Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And welcome back to me. For those of you new here, my name is Donna, and for those of you not new, thank you so much for continuing to come back and support my channel. Today, I am doing my year's worth of empties. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because as I empty products, I did a monthly empties, and I consistently got back, wow, you're using so much. Wow, you use so many products. And I thought, I wonder how much I'm using all year. So all of 2019, I took my products and I saved them up. And I am coming to you with this crazy amount of products that I used up all year long. I saved all of my products into a couple FabFitFun boxes, this one being one of them, and it is pretty full, as you guys can see. And then I also had this one, which is so full it doesn't jiggle around, but this one is also really freaking full of empties. So some disclaimers out here. Just trying to use up my product, y'all. I'm just trying to use up my product. I know I spend a lot of money on makeup throughout the year, and I just wanted to really sit down and digest how many products exactly I am using. All of the MAC products that I have used are being saved and sent back to MAC for the MAC Take Back project. All the mascaras that I use, the wands are being cleaned off and they are being sent to Wands for Life, which is a nonprofit company that saves clean mascara wands, and they use those wands to clean up animals that have been, suffering from mites or have oil on them or things like that. And I know that there are some products in this empties that I am actually looking at my impact on the world and trying to figure out a more eco-friendly option for these things. For some of them I have figured it out. For some of them I have tried. Again, I am just trying to use up my products. I am not trying to be wasteful. I did use all of the products in here. There might have been a couple that I threw in here that weren't quite all the way done yet, but in addition to Wands for Life and the MAC Take Back, I am recycling all of the items that I can recycle. So with that being said, I did use up a lot of stuff. I saved everything unless it was housewares or something like that. Those kind of things didn't add into my total. I actually didn't add any of our sample sizes into the total unless it was a sample size that cost me money. I do get gratis for where I work. A lot of what is in here came to me through BoxyCharm, which I pay for that subscription, and sales. I went off of the regular price, what it would cost somebody who was purchasing these things outright to get them. Most of what I purchased did come to me with a discount, unless it came from Sephora. I do get a discount for working at Ulta, so some of these were discounted, but I couldn't go back through and figure out what I actually did physically pay for these items. So I did just go with the total of what the average consumer would be paying for these items when purchasing them. With that being said, I'm going to pull the pictures up on my phone so that I can walk through with you. I will say that somewhere in the middle of the year, I ran out of room in the boxes that I did. I had already had to bring in a second box, but I started to run out of room in both of the boxes. So I did start taking things out and just marking on one of the items, like how many of each of those I brought out. So for instance, the very first picture is this one. It is of the Bath and Body Works hand soaps that I use, and I did put on that frosted coconut one. You will see a +3 on there. That's because I threw away 3 other containers of that to make room for what else I was putting in the boxes. So I did go through 7 Bath and Body hand soaps. I do have two places that they are pretty standard, one in my kitchen and one in my upstairs bath. So I think like going through 7 in a year isn't bad. Some of those were gone through because my 8-year-old daughter thinks that they're, you know, toys, and she'll play with them. So the next picture is the Pearl bath bomb. It's just a wrapper from Pearl bath bomb. This is one of those bath bombs that has the little trinket on the inside of the bath bomb. And this guy was a $17 bath bomb. It was a gift to me from my daughter, but I did use it and I loved it. And I don't know that I'd repurchase it. It's $17 for a bath bomb. And honestly, the trinket was this like chintzy little ring. It's a good ring for like a child, but it wasn't a good ring for an adult. So there's that. This is a picture of the brush cleaners that I have. You'll see that the Cinema Secrets one has a +3 on it. So I did go through 4 of those in one of the It Cosmetics brush bath. I do prefer the Cinema Secrets. I always purchase them in the 20% off rouge sales that go on that It Cosmetics brush bath. I probably wouldn't ever purchase again. It was one that I thought was amazing, but have since changed my mind since I got a hold of the Cinema Secrets one. And I do believe that there's an e.l.f. makeup brush cleanser that I don't have in this picture, and that's not calculated in, so I'm not going to count it. But the bottle I repurposed, and I have Cinema Secrets in it, and it sits in my to-go bag so that I have a brush cleaner with me on the road. I did also go through that one, but it's like $2. That one is not amazing either. Wouldn't repurchase it. I will continue to repurchase the Cinema Secrets one just because it's my favorite, and I feel like it does really cleanse my brushes. This picture is of a blank slate. When I got my new Vera Mona color switch pan from FabFitFun, I did replace the oldest clean slate in my collection. These are like color switch pans. This one was probably 3 years old. I think it's one of the first ones I purchased, and I couldn't find an actual price for it, but I know that I picked it up at TJ Maxx, and so I wrote $5 as the cost of it because I wasn't really sure, and I think that that sounds about right. The next thing I have on here is 2 Tree Hut body scrubs. These are amazing body scrubs. I will continue to repurchase them. They're not really horrible in price. Both of these together were $18, and that's without a discount, without being on sale. A lot of times at Ulta you can catch these on a sale for like $7.50 a piece, and that's amazing. I use these every single time I shower just to slough off the dry skin. I use them before I shave so that the dry skin is not getting in the way of me getting a clean shave when I'm shaving my legs. They're amazing and they smell delicious. The next thing here is a Viktor and Rolf perfume. It's just a deluxe size, so it's not included in my total. I do believe I got this in gratis at GMC last year. It's the only perfume that I've finished off this year. I have a couple body sprays, and then this. You know, for 7 years at Starbucks I wasn't allowed to wear perfume, so it's kind of out of my habit. I'm trying to get more in the habit of using some. I have a ton of them over there that I need to get through, and I do like perfume. I did wear perfume before starting to work at Starbucks, so I'm really excited to dive into that aspect of my collection. But this is the only perfume that I used, and it's the Viktor and Rolf Pastel Bonbon. It's got a really nice sweet smell to it, but for me it was a little bit too sweet, and this one actually leaked all over in my suitcase that I take with me out of town. So my suitcase, every time I open it now, smells like that, which I'm not opposed to. But the fact that it leaked everywhere kind of actually taught me a lesson in putting my liquids in a plastic bag when I travel, even if I'm not going on an airplane. This is a picture of all the sponges that I went through over the year. There are 4 Real Techniques complexion sponge, 2 Real Techniques sculpting sponge. That purple one is actually part of a set of 2, and I know that there were 2 in this set that I went through last year because I have 2 brand new ones in my drawer right now where I keep my sponges. So I did count 2 in that. Those are what are called mini eraser sponges actually, but I use them a lot for like liquid highlight, or I use them for my cream cheek products basically. And then we have 1 beauty blender, 1 knockoff Juno. That blue one is a knockoff Juno blender. And then that light pink one is an SL Miss Glam blender, and it's a rather expensive blender, and it's my least favorite. I would never repurchase that. Real Techniques is obviously, as you can see, my absolute favorite beauty sponge. I think that it's an amazing beauty sponge. It retains water the way I want it to. Love it. I love the Miracle Complexion. I love the sculpting. I love them all. The Beauty Blender, not my favorite sponge, honestly, and I don't know if it's because it costs 20 bucks for a silly sponge, or if it's because I don't feel like it holds on to moisture the way I want it to last throughout the entirety of my makeup application. I feel like it starts drying out about halfway through. So I did use 11 makeup sponges over the course of the year. I do throw them out when they get like ripped open in some way, shape, or form. For some reason, I feel like that opens them up to more bacteria than what they probably already hold. So, and in addition to that, it doesn't matter to me if they are broken or not. If they start acting weird or I can't get the makeup application that I want even after I've cleansed them, then I will toss them as well. The next thing here is deodorant. I know I went through more deodorant than this, but we're just calculating this too. I do have one full size and one like travel size Secret Solid in here. The pink one is my favorite one to use. It's just, you know, pretty standard baby powder scented. It is my everyday. It's what I've used since I was 11, and I don't typically use different kinds of deodorants because I don't want a super sensitive skin and I don't want my underarms to get rashy, which would be miserable in my opinion. The next thing is this EOS shave cream. I did use 4 of these. You see the one that says +2. The other 2 were also the pink version, the pomegranate and raspberry one. I don't really 100% love the shave cream, if I'm being honest with you. I found that these containers leaves a lot of shave cream down in the bottom that you're unable to get to, and I would have to like take the plug out of it and like slam it up against my hand. It's really a hard plastic, and I think it would make it better if they would make it like a more pliable plastic so that you could squeeze the contents that are left down in the bottom out. I don't feel like these were worth the money because I do feel like there was a ton of product still left in these when I couldn't get anything else out via the pump. So this is one of the areas that I was really disappointed in myself with. This is face wipes. There are 9 bags here. I use 9 bags of makeup wipes, and each one of these makeup wipe bags has about 30 in them. So I used so much, and my eco impact was horrible. I have since brought a makeup eraser into my room for reasons of washing my hands off during my personal makeup application or swatches off during a video in which I'm swatching. That's $42 in just makeup wipes. The next picture is my eye masks. I only had 3 eye masks. My friend Diana Hoffman-Larson has been inspiring me to use more sheet masks and eye masks and that kind of stuff, and like 3 eye masks all year long. That's all I used was 3. So hopefully next year, like, I'm going to push myself to use some more, at least 1 or 2 a month, because you really don't see any kind of benefit unless you're using them pretty consistently, right? And God knows I could use some under eye help. So that Pacifica one, Leave Pretty, was super pretty. They look like leaves, and they just fit really wonky under your eyes. I don't feel like they did anything for my eyes. The shape of them was not conducive to putting it under your eye, in addition to the fact that it kind of burned and it dried out really super quickly. Like really super quickly. I will never repurchase those. The South Main ones weren't bad. The black ones were probably my favorite. The next picture is of my sheet masks. And again, here we are, 4 sheet masks entire year. Those 2 Tatcha sheet masks, the 2 purple bags on the end. Oh my God. The best sheet mask on the planet, but they're $12 a piece. I did get those in BoxyCharm and I loved them. The Pacifica Stress Rehab, it didn't even fit my face, so I have a big head. I get that, but I won't repurchase that one. And the Pure Lease, I have more of those, so I don't need to repurchase those right now, but I can't remember how I felt about them. This picture here is of the lashes that I used this year, and I know that it doesn't look like it, but these are beat up. Both pairs of these lashes I got in BoxyCharms. The Baddington lashes were the first lashes I ever tried, and they are beat up. They don't look like it, but all the lashes are like really wonky and who's a digit because I didn't know what I was doing. I was a little better at applying with the House of Lashes lashes, but they're still, because they're so spread out, I thought about cutting those into pieces and just sticking them where I wanted to. Those ones were really weird too, because in the center they had the longest point instead of like being really flared out at the end like a cat eye. The longest point was in the center, and I just thought that they were really strange. The band wasn't very thick. It was really hard for me to manage those lashes. This one here is of the dry shampoos that I used this year, and I was surprised by this. I really thought there was going to be more. When I started dyeing my hair like this, I got into the habit of not washing it very often. So when you have hair that's crazy colored like this, you really have to wash it less frequently. I started living in dry shampoo, so I really thought that there was going to be more. The Oribe Gold Lust dry shampoo is my absolute favorite, but it's $46 can. I have never purchased it. It has come to me in FabFitFun. I think I got one in a BoxyCharm, and I got a baby one in a BoxyCharm that's not in this, but I know that I used it up this last year. The Batiste I got in a 3-pack from I think TJ Maxx for like $10, which was great. I just wanted something that I could take traveling with me, and that is not the best dry shampoo. Not a dry shampoo I would ever recommend. It leaves a white cast. It smells real good. The Oribe doesn't leave a white cast. It doesn't leave my hair feeling like super gritty. Even after days worth of use, I can still continue to use it and not feel like my hair needs to be washed. I think I would do the Batiste like 2 days in a row and then felt like my hair needed to be washed. Batiste it just wasn't it. It just wasn't how I was going to be able to maintain my color. So the next thing is this color conditioner. This is the hair cleanser that I use when I have crazy colors. This is the first one that I used, and it is kind of like a rose pink. I only went through one because it doesn't take much, and because when you're only washing your hair once every 10 days, you don't go through a lot. Again, this is the kind of bottle, it's a square bottle, so it's the kind of bottle that I feel like could be done differently so that you feel like you get all of the product out of the bottle. But this is the cleanser for your hair that I would suggest if your hair is crazy colored, and it comes in multiple colors. You can even get it in clear, which is what I have in my shower right now. This is a picture of the body washes that I used, and one of them is an Ulta Beauty Sweet Pecan Cupcake 3-in-1 smoothie, which is a shower gel, shampoo, and bubble bath multi-use product, right? And I purchased this because my daughter was using all of my shampoo as bubble bath. Well, my shampoo doesn't suds, so, and all the shampoo that I'm using on my hair is rather expensive. So I bought this hoping that my daughter would start using this for her bubble bath instead of my shampoos or even my shave creams. And she did, but it lasted a long time. I was really actually kind of shocked, and it smelled so good. It smelled good enough that every time I got out of the shower after having used it as like a shower gel, I was hungry. I'm allergic to nuts, so I've never had a pecan in my life, but if they taste as good as this thing smelled, I want one. The second one there is just the Sol de Janeiro Brazilian Foreplay shower gel. It was just a little like deluxe sample size that came in a kit that I got for myself for Christmas last year, not this 2019 but 2018, and I loved it. It lasted forever. It lasted quite a while. The next thing I have in here is the only hair spray thing I have in here, and that is the Matrix Texture Builder. This is a finishing spray, and I really kind of loved it. I don't feel like it made my hair feel sticky or kept it in one spot like you would think a hairspray would. It actually felt like you could run your hands through it, and it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of product in it, which I loved. This is the other thing that I'm really disappointed in myself with. I did purchase some reusable cotton rounds, and they just are super scratchy on my eyes, and I cannot get over that, which these are not. So I need to find a better option. I have heard through you guys actually that Makeup Eraser has little tiny ones for, you know, your more delicate areas, and I'm looking into those. But I did use 3 packs of the Ulta Beauty quilted cotton squares. I did have 19 mascaras here. 8 of them are full size, and then there's the 1 deluxe sample size that I had to pay for, which was the Baguette Bang. That one was a $13 cost, and then the rest of them are all sample sizes. I will tell you, this is what I learned from, I'm not going to go through each one, except for to say that I'm not a huge fan of Tarte mascaras. I'm not a huge fan of Better Than Sex. And I have found that I'm not a huge fan of natural bristle brushes. I more prefer mascaras that have plastic bristle brushes. And a lot of these actually had natural bristle brushes. So I think that that's why they ended up in my not faves category. But so we have 2 of the Milk Kush mascaras. This was kind of a natural fiber brush. I hated that mascara. I will never repurchase it. It burnt my eyeballs. It flaked on me. It landed. It traveled. It landed on my cheekbones. It gave me the worst raccoon eye I think I can remember in a mascara, and it made my eyes burn. So there's something in it that is not conducive to me. My favorite was and still is the Baguette Bang. I was really happy that I paid the $13 for that little tiny sample so that I got familiar with that mascara. I also liked the Urban Decay Troublemaker one. It wasn't bad. That one did transfer a bit on me, but only as it got a little bit older. And then the Tarte Tartist Lash Paint, the black and gold one, is actually the only Tarte mascara that I find myself liking. I use a lot of the mascaras in conjunction with each other. So there's a lot of mascaras here this year. But in addition to the fact that I use many mascaras together, I also opened a lot of those mascaras in 2018. I have 2 of the NYX definer pencils, these guys here, and as you can see I have a backup, so it is one that I use all the time. I really like the Precision Brow by NYX, just because it is a nice little rectangle thing you can get. Nice hair-like strokes out of it, but you can also flip it and get, you know, a fill out of it. I think it's good, but I also love the Micro Brow by NYX. It's my favorite pencil. So next to that is an e.l.f. brow pencil. I really like it. I think it's worth the $2 that it costs to get it, but it only comes in like 3 or 4 shades. The one next to that is the Billion Dollar Brows brow pencil that came in a BoxyCharm, and I hated this thing. The brow product was too creamy, and it went into the brows, and then you'd brush it through and it just went everywhere. If you didn't stop your brush, your spoolie, right at the top of your brows, like, you would find brow pencil marks all over your forehead. And I had never had that problem before with any of my brow products, so I hated that thing. And then the one on the far end is the Urban Decay Brow Blade, and I love that thing. But it doesn't come with a whole lot of product as far as pencil goes, and I get it, because on the one side there's the liquid portion, and you should be using them in tandem with each other, so you shouldn't have to use like a bunch of one and not of the other. I will probably repurchase this brow product at some point, but not right now. I just have so many brow products that I need to run through. Those are the brow pencils that I used. Again, 5 brow pencils. And then this is the one brow gel that I used, and it is the Benefit Gimme Brow. It is in shade, I think, 3, and it's the only brow gel that I use. This is the first one I've ever tried, and this is the only one that I ever use or used last year. And what I like most about that is tinted brow gel. So when I get my brows done, you know, shaped, waxed, and tinted, I can just go through with that tinted brow gel, and I don't need a pencil. This is kind of what I've used most of the time only. So the next thing is my liquid eyeliners, and there are 6 of them. So the first one is actually an Ico pencil that I absolutely hated. It was a felt tip. I found that when I had to go back over a section of it, it would flake off, and I actually ended up with a flake of it in my eye. So at that point it went into my empties. I wasn't using it again. It pissed me off and it hurt. So the next one with the red top is the Smashbox one, Always On liquid eye pencil. It's also a felt tip, and I hated it when I first got it. And it ended up, as I used it, actually being one of my favorites. The pink one next to it is a toothpaste one that I just finished up. Loved that. Brush tip. The Cosmetics superhero liner is my holy grail liner. I do have a backup of it sitting over here. I just haven't opened it up because I'm working through some other ones, but that is a brush tip liner. It's my favorite. I love the shape of the packaging. I feel like it sits in your hand really well, and it is actually what helped me figure out a winged liner. The one next to it is the Fenty Fly liner, which I'm not a huge fan of, if I have to be honest. I feel like it's about preference though. It's a super fine brush tip, and it's not as opaque as I like my liners to be. And then the Tarte Sex Kitten, it wasn't a bad one, it wasn't a good one. I don't remember exactly how this one ended up in my empties. I don't remember using a whole lot of it. The next picture is the actual kohl pencil liners that I use. I use a black pencil liner every single day, so it doesn't shock me that there's not a whole lot of color on here and just two black liners. One of them, the shinier of them, is the Tarte Sex Kitten kohl pencil liner, and it was just a deluxe sample, so it's not in my total. The other one is the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On pencil in Perversion, and you see it's down as far as I can get it. I can't sharpen it anymore. I have 8 foundations that I went through, and again, foundations are one of those kind of products that I quite often pair together. I know the Peach Perfect on the one end and the Becca Love, which is the silver with kind of like the silver that looks like it's cut in half, because it is. I used those two together all the time. During the summer, I used the Complexion Rescue with the It Cosmetics one, or them separately. Both of them are pretty packed with SPF. And I really feel like the Bare Minerals one, the Complexion Rescue, is really kind to your skin. The ones that I didn't really pair with anything were the Tarte Shape Tape foundation. I hated that foundation. I would never repurchase that foundation. It had a doe foot on it, so you had to put it on like that of a concealer, and I didn't really like that, and it didn't have a pump on it. I also just didn't like it overall. I don't think it looked good on my face. And the Bobbi Brown one was actually one that it's a sample size, so it's not added into my total, and it's actually one that came to me in like an eBay grab bag kind of purchase, and I believe it was bad when I got it, because you could see like all the oil had risen to the top, and even when I mixed it, it looked awful. There was no way I was putting that on my face. I think I did put it on my face twice. It was like, nope, not having this. My favorite was that Pure one, the 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie. Amazing foundation. I will repurchase that, but right now I have a ton of foundations that I'm trying to get through, so I'm doing those first, and then I will be repurchasing that one, and that one might end up being my holy grail foundation. And I know a lot of you are looking at this picture going, but Donna, you said you had 8 foundations, so this one is my 8th foundation. You all know, if you're familiar with my channel, that I hated this foundation. It was the only stick one that I finished up last year, and it was the only foundation that I truly hated. I mean, even the Tarte foundation wasn't as bad as this one. At least it went on my face, and I felt like stayed on my face. This one went on my face and moved around everywhere. Now, I did like this is dual ended, so it has a foundation on one end and a contour stick on the other. I did like the contour stick. I did save a lot of the contour stick, but I finished up this foundation even though I hated it, because I'm not a wasteful person, but it was the worst. The next thing is a body spray. It's the Brazilian Crush body spray by Sol de Janeiro, and I love that. I would repurchase that 100,000 times, but it's the only one I went through. The next picture here I have is my cleansers. So these are my first cleanse, I guess, or my eye cleanser. Hydra Life by Dior is just a sample size that I got 100-point perk from Sephora, so it's not included in my total. It was rather nice, but it did kind of sting my eyes. The Green Clean was also kind of not a full-size option. It did come to us in BoxyCharm, and I think that that was like legitimately BoxyCharm moment of like mutiny, because everybody was so pissed off that this was not a full-size version of the Pharmacy Green Clean. It's an amazing balm cleanser. This was my first try at a balm cleanser and I absolutely loved it. So I tried to buy another one that was more affordable. So that's that e.l.f. one in there. And it wasn't it. It was awful. The e.l.f. one was really bad. The Green Clean one was great. I would repurchase a full size of that. The e.l.f. one was awful. I would never repurchase that. The Mary Kay one was my holy grail eye cleanser. It took off waterproof makeup like no other. It didn't sting my eyes. It was amazing, and I used it for years. I won't be purchasing that anymore because it's just so expensive and you get so little product for the Cetaphil that's next to it to do this same exact thing in a better way with so much more product. So the next thing is my face primers, and I did go through 9 face primers. 3 of these are not in the total. The Milk one was good. It's a sample size that cost me money, so it is included in the total. It left your skin, it left like a tacky feel to your skin, which at first I hated, but I think it actually helped makeup adhere and stay adhered, I think, to my face. But it wasn't my favorite, honestly. Let's see. The Laura Geller used to be my Indel Speakle Holy Grail primer, and she had like 8 different primers in the Spackle primer line that you can choose from, and I do love all of them. The ABH one, not bad, liked it. The Dr. Brandt luminizing primer, not a bad primer. Also feel like everything went all over the top of it and looked amazing as far as application went, but it's so expensive and you get 1 ounce of product, and that's just not okay for me. The Touch in Soul actually was a big surprise for me this year because I typically do not like pore minimizing primers. But this one is a pore minimizing primer and it is amazing. I loved it, and it's a fairly decent price point. I think it's $18 for, you know, that size, and there is just over 1 ounce in there. So I mean, that's definitely more cost effective than I think the $38 that the Dr. Brandt cost for the same amount of product. This picture is just the one and only eyeshadow primer that I went through. It is an Urban Decay Primer Potion. It is $24. Will I repurchase it? It's a decent eye primer. I probably won't repurchase it though because I've got a ton of eye primers left. I have decided that I prefer to use even just my concealer as primer. I think it does just as good of a job, honestly, as the primer potion, but I do have 2 other primer potions in my stash. The next thing here is setting sprays. I do have 11 setting sprays. So some of these were carried over from 2018. Obviously, a lot of these empties were carried over from 2018 that I had opened and used. And I'm not the kind of person that opens one item and uses it all the way and then opens another one and uses it all the way. Like, I think I had the Morphe setting spray and all-nighter and the Makeup Fixer by Ofra opened all at the same time. I had one of the Smashbox ones opened up at the same time as the MAC one. I had the Milani Make It Last opened up as another one of the Smashbox. So like I always have multiple products going at the same time. There's 11 of these. I have reused each one of these bottles for my Cinema Secrets. The Smashbox ones never sprayed well, in my opinion. I did not like them very much. I know that these are some people's holy grail. They're not mine. I had 3 of those ones. I had 2 all-nighters in here. The all-nighter one is my favorite. The MAC, I know a lot of people just think that it's the end-all speak-all of all setting sprays. I think that it's good, but I don't think that it needs to be, you know, the end-all speak-all in my life. The Milani one wasn't bad. The Ofra one I absolutely hated. I will never repurchase it, and the biggest reason why is simply because of the the smell of it, the aroma of it really gave me a headache. It's super floral. The Morphe Continuous Mist, amazing setting spray. I would repurchase that. It just didn't last for very long for me. I felt like it lasted all of like 2 weeks when some of the other ones I could get to last for, you know, a month or more, depending on how I was using them with other ones. So the Ulta Beauty one, not my favorite, if I have to be honest. Not my favorite. I also have right next to the silver Smashbox, there's a little tiny Too Faced Hangover RX setting spray that's in there, not included in my total. I didn't really prefer it. I didn't think it was amazing. This picture is of the body moisturizers that I use. So the Sol de Janeiro Bum Bum Cream is the only one that's included in the total. The reason why is because the other one is a Bath & Body Works like cashmere vanilla or something like that hand cream, and I can't find a price for it. It's a discontinued item at Bath & Body Works. I wish it wasn't. It's my favorite and I would repurchase it 100,000 times. I think it was probably like $350 or something like that, but I couldn't fathom putting a price tag on it. That thing is so old. I use every ounce of it, but it's so old. The Sol de Janeiro is awesome. I would repurchase it. It smells so good, and it does come in like 4 different sizes, so that one is a full size. This is a picture of the face exfoliators that I use at least once a week, and the Fasanti Brighten Up is probably my favorite. I really liked how that one made my face feel. I really liked that I could see a difference in what was going on with my skin when I was using it. It's an exfoliating cleanser enriched with papaya, microcrystals, and aloe, and I felt like it was sensitive to my skin, but also created a difference in my skin. The LMS papaya enzyme pill wasn't bad, but I like for my exfoliators to feel like an exfoliator, and I felt like this one was just kind of like a lotion that I would rub on and could kind of feel something happening, but wasn't sure if I was imagining it kind of thought process. So, I mean, I like it, but as far as they go, like, it was $45, and I don't know that I'd spend $45 on it with how it made me feel or what I could see happening on my face, which was nearly nothing. I did get the LMS, I believe, in a BoxyCharm, and I got the Vasanti in a FabFitFun. This is a picture of the 2 facial sprays that I had, or toners, if you will, that I went through, and one is an Andalou Naturals. The other one is the Mario Badescu, and that one is just like a travel size. I do like the Mario Badescu facial sprays. I don't think they do anything for makeup application or longevity or anything like that. I just think that they feel good. They're good refreshers, and there's that. But those are the 2 facial sprays that I went through this year. The next picture is of my moisturizers. The Elizabeth Arden one, the one in the really cool like dark blue jar. I would never purchase another Elizabeth Arden face cream if you paid me to. It's just so floral scented that it gave me a super bad headache every single time I used it. So it took me forever to use that. I think I had that face cream for like 2 years. The LMS Pro Collagen Marine Cream, I loved it. It didn't last for very long. I feel like my face, because of how dry it can tend to be, just sucks it all in, and then takes me next to no time to go through a jar of moisturizer for my face. Algenist is one of my favorite skincare brands, and I do have the Sublime face cream as well as the Regenerative Anti-Aging Lotion in this picture, and I loved both of them. I love that the lotion one had a pump on it so that I didn't have to like dig my hands into it. That was nice. The Sublime one was really pretty because I would wear this one when I was having like no makeup days, because it gave the skin a nice iridescence, and it was just really pretty. It reminded me of like unicorn tears or something from like Too Faced. If I had to pick an absolute favorite for the year, it would have been the Perricone Empty, which sits right above the Sublime. It's the one in the brown and gold bottle, and it's the Essential Effects line. It's an amazing moisturizer, and I was introduced to this brand and this moisturizer in particular through Influencer. I got it for free for a review, not this bottle, but a 2-ounce bottle, and I loved it, and I can actually feel the differences in my skin when I'm using this. And then there's the Clinique Moisture Surge, which is an amazing product. I do have a backup of it. I got it in gratis and I like it. It's a gel as well. It feels like water going on your face, and I feel like it helps with the moisture for sure. So, and you can get it in multiple different sizes depending on what your price point is, which I think is something that Clinique does really well. With the moisturizers, I actually went through 11. There are 5, not in total, and one of them includes this one I forgot to put into the bigger picture. This is the Origins Ginseng Energy Boosting Gel Moisturizer. This wasn't my favorite, honestly. I don't really love everything from the Origins line. This product is a deep crease serum, also by Paragon MD, also in that Essential Effects line. It is the only serum that I use on my face for the most part last year. And it is, like it said, a deep crease serum. I used it mostly in this area, and I saw a huge difference when I was using it. So would I repurchase it? Probably, but it's like $129 for a full-size version. So the next thing I have here is the 2 concealers that I went through this year. One of them is a Giorgio Armani Power Fabric, I think it's called, concealer, and it came to me from Influencer. I love this concealer. You can just like boop, boop, boop on your under eye or wherever you want to put it. Blend it in with your finger. It blends in seamlessly. It looks amazing. And then the Tarte Shape Tape, which is, I absolutely hate Tarte Shape Tape. And you guys know that this was in my project pan, I believe, in 2018. And I used it a lot for things like cut creases or halo eyes on my eye. And I didn't finish it in 2018, but finished it up right after we went into 2019. So it did end up in my empties this year. This picture is of the 2 color correctors that I used, one being the Urban Decay Naked Skin color correcting fluid. It is a really good color correcting fluid. It's a nice peach tone. I find that it was easy to cover up, but I also find that it wasn't super opaque. I don't think that it is the color corrector for me. I require a little bit. I want it to be as emollient as this was, but I also want it to be a little thicker than this was so that it actually covers on my skin. But this one, I have to give it to him. It covered, and you could cover it up easily with like concealer and whatnot. Some color correctors like sit on your skin and they're super hard to cover up with your regulatory makeup. Like your regulatory makeup ends up looking orange or green cast because of your correctors. This one didn't do it. They have a really great formula here for those of us that don't need a whole lot of coverage or color correcting. The other one is the Cosmetics Bye Under Eye Corrector in the blue tub, which I think they discontinued and started putting it in another tub. I'm not sure. Am I right? Is that right? I don't know. Every time I go to look for it these days, I can't find it. I did get a backup of it, so I'm not in an emergency need of it right now, but those are the color correctors I went through this year. I would repurchase the Cosmetics one. As I said, I already had repurchased a backup of it before I even finished this one off. The next thing is the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops. There is a picture at the end of all these pictures that I'll go through of everything that was in my project pan. So this one is not the one that was in my project pan. So I did go through 2 of these this year. And this is, like, I used it to add into my foundations to kind of deepen it up, especially through the summertime, so that I didn't have to go buy a whole nother foundation to get the coloring that I needed for summer foundation. It's also a really nice liquid bronzer. This is a picture of just some of the products that I didn't really add into my total because I didn't really have a price point for them, except for the Marc Jacobs lipstick pencil that is there because that did cost me money, and the Trust Fund Beauty cream highlighter, which is the pink squeezy tube, because that came in an Ipsy, but it is a full-size version of it and it had a price total. And then the purple and white packaging is a bronzer that I also got in Ipsy, but it's the Glamour Doll X Lisa Frank bronzer. And that did have a price total on it as well. So a lot of these are just, you know, sample size things that I didn't add into the total, or things that I wanted to show you that I finished up that I didn't add into the total. One of them is a lash primer. It was my first time trying a lash primer, and I wasn't sure I was going to like get on with it, but I loved it. It was super good. That Marc Jacobs lip crayon, my favorite. It melted in the car and therefore was all over the place, and I couldn't use it anymore. The Trust Fund Beauty highlighter, not my favorite, but it was a really thick cream, not amazing, but that little tiny squeezy tube is $22. The little like teal blue thing next to it is actually a strobe cream sample from Winky Lux. I loved that thing. That was shocker of the year, is me like really falling in love with a lot of cream products. The bronzer, my favorite bronzer. I have never completed a bronzer as quickly as I did that one. It was a really pretty, perfect for me bronzer, so I love that. This picture is all the stuff that was finished in my project pan this year. I told you guys that I had a second custom enhancer drops in this, which is right there on the end. There's also a Urban Decay Naked Skin concealer, so this actually makes 3 concealers that I went through this year. The Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, that guy was in my project pan actually for 2 years. It took me 2 years to go through that thing. So that's in here. I have 2 eyeliners in here, that purple one, and then next to it is like just a dark brown one. We have the Wet n Wild dual-ended contour and highlight stick. We have 2 sample size mascaras that wouldn't be included in the total. And then we have 2 e.l.f. liquid highlights, also not included in the total. I believe those were free gifts with purchase. So, and then up top you have a hard candy corrector. So that makes 3 correctors that I went through this year. And you have a pure exfoliator lip, so a lip exfoliator, lip scrub type item. That is also included in the total. And then down at the bottom we have the Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh powder. That is a sample, not included in the total. And then a Peak Cream Blush. That is included in the total because that's an actual size of a cream blush for that brand. And then that is it, you guys. When I added it all up, I went through a total of 174 items. 174 items, you guys. And when I added up the total of all those products that I went through, I got a grand total of, I couldn't even believe my numbers, to be honest. I got a grand total of nearly $3,000 worth of product. $2,767.50. What? Like I never in my life would have dreamed that that's the amount of product that I'm going through. I am super excited that that is what I went through, because I know I didn't spend that last year in makeup. I know I didn't. So the fact that I spent less on makeup than what I used in makeup really makes me super happy. And granted, some of these items were things like brush cleansers and face cleansers, and I know I had my deodorant in there, but like I bulked everything into, I put all those things into my empties, my beauty empties. I was shocked. I was super shocked that I had went through that many items, and I was super shocked that I had went through that dollar amount of items. Again, I didn't pay that price. I probably paid a half that or a third of that in product just because I do get gratis. I get a nice discount, and I got a lot of these products through BoxyCharm. But still, if I were the average person using these things and actually purchasing these things, like that is what I used. So did you guys like this? Did you guys like this? Did you like going through my year to date empties with me? Because I really think I want to do it again next year, just to see if it's a consistent amount, you know, if I'm using the same all the time. I am so excited about the number. I just am crazy excited about the number. So thank you guys so much for watching this video today. I know it was a long one. I hope you grabbed a snack somewhere in between. If you're here and you're still watching, please put down in the description box banana. So that I know that you hung out for the long haul. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and until next time, bye guys.